to the roads, and cyclists often complain of being sworn at, sideswiped, or simply just ignored by many drivers.
Now, though, increasing numbers are fighting back. Their weapon of choice is a camera, which is attached to their cycling helmet. We should warn you that some of the footage coming up quite disturbing. It's proving to be useful evidence in court, though. Breakfast's Richard Westcott joins us this morning from Waterloo Station in London. Hello, Richard.
Hello, this is the kind of thing we're talking about, mini cameras like this. When you talk to a lot of cyclists, their big issue is that they don't feel that they've got the backing of, say, an insurance company if something goes wrong. They can't go to the police because they tend to say, well, it's one word against another, and they don't feel that they're being taken seriously. So growing numbers are putting things like this on their safety hat so they can actually video what's happening to them. And as you say, in a number of cases, it's actually led to some prosecutions. Now, again, as you say, a bit of a warning if you're there with young children or whatever. We've got some footage coming up. There is an accident at the start of it. It's not horrendous, but you might want to get your kid away from the telly, something like that. So anyway, here is that film. Just to warn you, there is an accident coming up here. You can sense what's about to happen, but it's still a shock. Now, the cyclist was okay in the end. And here, the rider has an incredibly lucky escape. As the technology gets cheaper, more cyclists are using helmet cameras to defend their corner of the road. Now, most of the time, they just upload the video to the internet to name and shame the drivers, if you like. But in a handful of cases, it has led to a prosecution. Ben Porter cycles to work every day, and he films it. Now, this happened to him last summer.
No, don't do it! Stay right! Stay right!
It's the kind of confrontation most of us dread.
Just drove into me. What? What are you driving into? You idiot! I drove into you.
Film evidence meant this driver was actually convicted and fined several £100s.
I always saw it as some form of insurance. I'd had experiences in the past where it was very much my word against theirs, and it did feel like, as a cyclist, I didn't have as much behind me as, say, a car driver with an insurance company, and I didn't feel that I was being believed.
There have been many cases that I've dealt with where a camera helmet would have been extremely useful. Often accidents go unwitnessed, or if they are witnessed, the witnesses have differing accounts of what actually happened. So a camera helmet can secure a case for you.
Statistically, cycling is getting safer, but there are still around 17,000 injuries a year. The helmet cameras are highlighting the risks riders face. Now, this is Roger, who's from the CTC, and they campaign for cyclist rights and so on. What's your take on the cameras?
Well, it's a very understandable response to a perennial problem of what cyclists know as SMIDSI drivers. SMIDSI stands for sorry mate, I didn't see you. The excuse perennially given by a driver who isn't taking care of other people's safety on the roads. And the difficulty with that is that not only is the cyclist, or indeed a pedestrian, it affects them as well, the cyclist and pedestrian is more likely to come off worse in the case of a collision, but the legal system then fails to provide adequate follow-up. The police sometimes fail to gather the proper evidence, prosecutors decide that the driving was merely careless when, by all accounts, it sounds self-evidently dangerous. The courts simply decide to not believe the cyclist.
Now, there will be plenty of motorists watching this thinking, hang on, you know, I stop at traffic lights, the cyclists are jumping red lights, they're going up on pavements, they're driving dangerously themselves. I mean, what would you think, for example, about cars carrying cameras and videoing cyclists?
Well, we all need to share the road sensibly. That's what our own Stop SMIDSI campaign is all about. We have a Stop SMIDSI website, which is where cyclists can report their experiences of bad driving. But the whole point is to demand that the legal system does its job properly, so that we can all coexist sensibly, sharing the roads with respect for one another's safety, with the police doing their job of enforcing the law, the courts standing up for the safety of people who are simply going about their business on bicycles to make sure that if they do get hit by an irresponsible driver, and they are the minority, that the legal system then does its job properly.
Okay, Roger, thank you very much. We'll just leave you with a little bit more of my toys. Steve, if you can go back on the lens, there you go. Look around, that's Steve the cameraman.
Amazing stuff.
Interesting idea, isn't it? How much is it? Did you say how much it was, Richard, for one of those?
How much? Oh, do you know what? It really varies depending on the quality you want. I think you can get them for about sort of £40 upwards.
Okay.
But the really good ones are several hundred.
Yeah, okay. Thanks very much.
He's having fun there,
Yeah.
isn't he?
I
Thank
love
you very
that,
much,
that
Richard.
acronym, SMEDSI.
SMEDSI.
Sorry, mate,
Mate,
I
I
didn't